Hey guys, it's Vince over at CG Vinyl Studio. Today we're going to be discussing a couple questions that keep coming into us redundantly, and I really feel videos are the easiest way to answer most questions to the masses, and so that you guys are on the same page as we are and you can get the absolute best performance out of the substrate you're using. Again, you want professional results. We want you to get those results, and again, I want to keep this instructional format going because when it comes to graphic design, there's really not a lot of videos out there. It's kind of a hit and miss kind of field. You'll see, hit and miss videos on YouTube, but there's not a lot of really detailed information. So what I'm planning on doing in the next couple weeks, next couple months, hopefully the next couple years, is really integrating some tools that you guys can use, that we use in-house, to give you the best possible effect, not only with our substrates, but also with whatever you're trying to create when it comes to graphics. So that being said, one of the biggest questions that we always get, and I want to cover that immediately, is about applicational use for the graphics that they produce on the vinyl. Okay, our clients want to naturally print up whatever they want to print on the vinyl, and then they'll say things like, hey, can I use these graphics on cell phone cases? Absolutely. You can definitely apply these graphics to cell phone cases. That being said, does that always make sense? And let me explain what I mean. If you are printing on a cell phone case, we know that they're going to be handled all the time. That means you're going to have human abrasion happening virtually daily. You're going to have hands rubbing on it. You're going to have possibly dirty hands rubbing on it. You're going to have the foam being put away. It's going to abrade on whatever material you're wearing or whatever case you're holding it with. That being said, the more a graphic is handled, the more potential for degradation you're going to have. Okay? Think of graphic production on vinyl or any other substrate as painting. That's essentially what you're doing. Guys that are familiar with bodywork and the automotive industry, if you think about it like that, you'll never go wrong for your applications. Okay? If I'm handling a car's paint every day, I know that's not really possible unless your car is a Matchbox car, but let's look at that scenario for a minute. If your car is a Matchbox car and you're handling it every day, and even though it has automotive paint on it and it's totally professional in the substrates that are applied to it, if you're handling it every day, odds are you're going to get scratches on that paint. It's going to braid through. It's just a very thin layer. Well, essentially that's what we have here with our graphics that we're producing on vinyl. We're laying a very, very, very light coat of ink, digitized format, utilizing stepper motors that the printer actually provides, and then it actually designs your image. It's copying your image that you have on your screen through your graphics program or your actual CAD software, which is actually your Vinyl Master or whatever programs you guys are using. And once you actually print it out, what you're basically left with is the design. Now, once that ink dries, it's basically on the substrate. That being said, it's a very light coat. It's not meant to be handled on a routine basis without any, number one, any type of actual abrasion protection, which would be over laminate. That being said, that is a general lamination for a bonded barrier to give you more of a weatherproofing effect and a UV resistant effect. It will produce some mild abrasion resistance, but that's where the line is drawn. Mild abrasion resistance. No different than that of a clear coat on a car. Think of automotive clear coat when it comes to base coat, clear coat painting. It's the same principle. Clear coat is really applied as a finishing touch, which actually your over laminate is the exact same format. Think in terms of that, you'll never go wrong. Okay, so once again, be realistic in your applications. If you're putting, once again, if you're doing, we've had clients that want to do sunglasses, we've had clients that want to do cell phone cases, computer cases, anything that's dealing with lots of human handling, you're more at risk for abrasion. And the abrasionary factor will come into play, again, dealing on whichever client you're working with. And again, that can lead to an unhappy client if their expectation is that they're able to handle that substrate in a manner that they feel is never ever going to wear away, basically. So you guys have to keep that in mind. Always provide your clients, the forethought to say, hey, if you're making cell phone cases, odds are you're going to get the handling effect from the actual client, and over time, whether it be a week, a month, we don't know what happens. Maybe he drops the cell phone, he has a protective case on it, and once that cell phone drops, it's going to nick whatever's on there, including the graphic. So you want that never to hinder your performance as a seller of your actual graphic production. So keep that in mind. Okay. Something else I want to discuss Another question is, you can see here I've done a custom design on a spider. Again, this is on our glossy vinyl. You can see the effect here. This is true airbrushed flames, okay? One of the things I get asked about is fills a lot. You can see that I use an actual fill, and you can see those airbrush flames. And again, if I come into the light, now I'm using an OT light once again, and your lighting is very, very critical to get your color palette correct. I've discussed this before, and I really want you guys to pay attention to this, because right now what you see is an image that in my graphics software looked great. Once I printed it out, and I know many of you can relate to this, it didn't look so great. You can see here we're very, very dark. We don't have any vibrancy. The colors look just out of sync, more or less. Design looks cool, colors look out of sync. A client would not be happy with this image, and with good reason. I mean, there's definitely some problems here. The next image that you have is after I've retouched the image, and now we can see the full clarity effect. Let's see if I can just fold our laminate, or excuse me, fold our vinyl. And you can see now the bright colors are there, and you can definitely see the effects that we're actually going for with this image. Now, one of the tools that we use is a color spectrometer. It's basically, you've got different ones on the market. We use a Color Monkey. You guys can purchase that, but I'm going to tell you the truth. I've used it many, many times, and very rarely is it 100% accurate. So what I've come to learn over years of production is that you are by far, matter of fact, I'm going to hold these up side by side so you guys can see. Okay, you can see just the color palette, just how dark we're looking at compared to how light and vibrant you're looking at, and you can see all the highlights of the actual flames. What we're actually looking at is really printing out the graphic in more or less 1 or 2 revisions to give you an idea of what the image will look like. Now, we have clients that will say, you know, I produced the image, and some of you already understand this theory, but some of you say, I produced the image, it looks great on the screen, I printed it out, and you know, then I go to print the vinyl, it doesn't look right. But what you forgot to tell us is that you actually printed it out on printer paper, and if you're using stock paper and not the original substrate that you're actually going to print the image on, you're going to get a different color palette as well. This will cost you money. We know that. We know it's going to cost you more money to print out and test and demonstrate the color palette on the actual substrate you're using. So if you're using that glossy vinyl or matte vinyl, you would have to print out a demo or a Vision 1 on that piece of matte substrate or glossy substrate to see the image effect in relation to the graphics that you produced on screen. This is truly the only way that you're guaranteed 100% that the image looks the way you're intending it to look. I don't care what program you're using. You could be using Adobe, you could be using Corel, whatever it may be. I'm telling you, and anyone who's been in graphics long enough will tell you, you will always have slight adjustments to make. Now, again, that slight adjustment can be based upon naturally what computer you're actually using. Also, because computers' monitors are different. I use a laptop. The laptops always produce different vibrancy results. Your printer's gamut is going to definitely produce different results. If you're dealing with printers with 1 or 2 ink cartridges versus 8, 10, 12, depending upon what printers you're using. Guys, I cannot emphasize this enough. The guys out there who are already using their printers to make money, and I'm talking about an inkjet printer, I'm going to tell you the truth. Stay away from the $40 and $50 printers. If that is all your budget can afford, don't think you're going to have the color gamut that a $150 to $500 printer is going to have. It's just not. Okay, typically on eBay now, I would say Craigslist, you can pick up a really decent inkjet printer for anywhere between $150 to probably $300, and you're getting a hell of a printer. And you're going to be really happy with the results, because the higher the amount of ink palettes it has, the better and the more clear the palettes will be produced. And that means on any substrate. Vinyl is no different than any other substrate. The big thing here is how well you take your time to produce the images that you're really looking for. You can see the clarity is definitely there on the image, but again, your color palette is just toast. It's just not happening. We look over here, and like I said, when you look at the vibrancy, this image is gorgeous. And what's really amazing is neither one of these have any laminate applied yet. So right now, these are in a vulnerable stage. Okay, if I was to handle this, or once again, if I apply any water to this, one of the biggest questions we get, and this is a silly question to me, but I want to make it sure it's very clear to everybody out there. Just because your vinyl is waterproof, because vinyl is essentially plastic, if your vinyl is waterproof does not mean your inks are. Okay, your inks are inkjet. Okay, the term inkjet comes because the inks are water soluble. That means they essentially have water in them. If you apply water to any one of these actual images, as beautiful as they look, without any laminate for any type of weatherproofing and moisture protection, you will have immediate running on these images. They are not protected yet. They are not sealed. Okay, once again, your substrate is waterproof. However, your inks are not. So in order to actually seal that ink, think in terms of this. If you just went outside and painted your car, whether it be with spray paint or automotive quality HVLP spray guns, you would not go and immediately spray that car with water. You wouldn't do it. It's not dry yet. So what's going to happen? The paint's going to run. This is no different if you take it in regards to graphic production. You must have a vinyl overlaminate applied to your actual graphic for many reasons, but overall it's weatherproofing and UV protection. Okay, if this light, this outlight was actually producing UV rays, over time your image is going to fade. That is why, in order to get professional results, you definitely want a very high quality overlaminate. Once again, we choose 3M. Again, aerospace industry, they're the best when it comes to overlaminates, and there's a reason that NASCAR uses them. Overall though, to prove my point, if I wet this image, okay, and I'm just going to dab it. I'll dab this one because I don't want to destroy the other one. I'm going to show you how quick. Done. And I guarantee you, there you can already see the ink is actually running already. Okay, so that shows you just how easy it is to destroy a print if you're not going to pay attention closely to what we're telling you. This is very important for your professional results and your business. You want to make sure you're selling the client on what your products can and can't do, and I can't emphasize that enough. So once again, laminate is very important. We'll get this image out of here now. And once you take the laminate, and once again, here's a demo sheet of our 8518, and you can see when we turn it over, you can see how dull the back is. And again, this is a 2/1000th of an inch thick piece of material. 2/1000th of an inch. We translate it to the graphics world, it's 2 mil. And you can see just how glossy this is. I mean, it's like literally laying clear coat right on your brand new print. Okay, and when you laminate with this, you can see how glossy, just giving you that effect, how glossy this image will look. It's just amazing. If we do the same effect, if I was to spray this now with the laminate applied, of course your image will be sealed and you will be protected, and therefore the image will of course be waterproof. That being said, another question that comes up quite a bit is your bleed line for cutting. If you guys are using contour cutting with your arms cutter, okay, and that's basically a registration assisted cut. For my guys out there who are not familiar with that term, you can check it out. My guys using Graphtec, Silhouettes, Cameos, all the other brands that are out there. You always want to make sure that your cut line exceeds at least 6 to 8 mil on general average. And what I say that for is you want that to actually exceed past your graphic so that you make sure you have a very good seal around your edge. They also sell graphic sealer. We're going to see if we can. I just am not real fond of the pricing on their products for that, and it's a kind of a hit and miss product. Certain times you'll get the results you're looking for, certain times you won't. But overall, if you stay with this general guideline, the thicker the barrier of your cut line, the better off you're going to be. And again, you can adjust that cut line based on your client's preference. If your client is using graphics that are not going to be out in the weather, and he assures you of that, you can have a closer cut line to your image. If your client is using it, on his vehicles, or you're doing license plates, of course you're going to be out in the weather. You would definitely want a cut line to actually go with that application. So again, knowing as much as you're going to know about what you're actually using the graphics for is going to tell you how to actually apply them, how to manufacture them, and how to keep your clients happy. Because again, you are the manufacturer. You have to take responsibility for what you're saying. The graphics and the products will work pending, or I should say work best pending, you guys understand exactly what you're trying to create. And I can't emphasize that enough. Rule of thumb is, best rule of thumb, best practice would be a 6 to 8 mil border around where your graphic is for the cut line. So when you form a contour cut around your graphic, you're looking at about a 6 to 8 mil leeway of bleed, meaning that white you leave a piece of white material, which is the vinyl, past your actual graphic. And again, if you're dealing with a client that you know for certain is not going to be out in the weather and is just wanting a UV protection on the graphic for, casual use, you're fine going closer. Okay, but use your head. I mean, I can't emphasize that enough. We all have to emphasize common sense. I would rather my graphic be protected. I mean, if you're really trying to get a painted look, and I do have clients that want that, they want it to be that cut line as close as possible to the actual graphic itself to make it basically resemble being painted on. It's totally possible to do. However, if you're going to do that, you definitely want to use an edge sealant, or you want to go over again with another piece of laminate over the graphic in a wider format to seal it. Okay, so you could always lay this, if you had this cut, let's say right to the exact lines of the legs here, maybe a couple thousandths over of this guy, you would just go over then with another piece of over laminate over it wide, and that would give you more or less the effect you want. But again, it depends on which client you're working with. Some clients will say that's acceptable, some clients won't. You really want to keep them happy, and again, the more versatile you are, again, it's much easier to make sure that they understand what they're getting and make sure that they're going to be happy with their overall purchase and look forward to purchasing from you in the future. So keep that in mind. Again, the graphics themselves, when you actually use the substrates correctly, you are getting overall the best graphics you can produce. And I mean, when you look at this image and you look at that clarity, and then we put this on, and I don't even have this actually applied, it gives you an idea of what you guys are capable of. Okay, the main thing here is, like I said, understanding all of these questions that you guys have. And like I said, I really want to make this a more open and shut case, so to speak, when it comes to understanding graphics production, because a lot of people are really getting into this. I think they're understanding the capabilities of the hardware now that's available on top of the substrates that are available. I mean, these substrates, the quality of these substrates rival that of anything you'd find in a typical print shop. I mean, and again, the feedback we have reflects it. I mean, again, we're in a transparent market. There's no way you guys will give us that feedback if you weren't happy with the results you're getting. But again, we have many years experience, and we want you guys to gain many years of experience and get the same results. Okay, if you guys are looking, and I want to discuss this as well, if you're looking for very, very, very durable materials, there's a lot of clients of ours that like to do off-road motorcycles, ATVs, stuff like that. The best quality you're going to get as far as durability with quality mix, it would not be a vinyl product, it would be a polypropylene product. Okay, our polypropylene is probably the most durable of any. I have seen polypropylene, literally doing our own in-house testing, submerged underwater with laminate, and I mean completely submerged, for an excess of 7 days with absolutely no product degradation at all. Okay, that's virtually unheard of in this industry. That product is very, very durable. It does have a little more thickness to it. You'll notice when you cut, you'll get some ridge lines on the edges. You'll notice that on very, very fine, again, very, very in contrast to an actual glossy vinyl, you will definitely see more of like a puncturing type effect, and it's just because the material is thicker and it does have a more industrial type of adhesive. But for heavy duty applications, that's exactly what you guys want. It still gives you the color clarity and the vibrancy you'd expect from a glossy vinyl, and again, with the bright color palette, but it gives you that ultimate durable effect, or I should say ultimate durability for your applications. And that's just something you guys have to think about, and that's why we say, you message us and let us know what you guys are looking for as far as terms of the products you're trying to create, or what you're already currently working with, and we can set you up with what we'd recommend to give you the best effect. Again, when you contact us, we do ask that you always give us your printer, give us the ink tanks of the printer, and be very specific in detail, guys, because we're not with you, so therefore we're trying to answer, in a more or less a blind and deaf format. So the more information you provide, the more help we can provide, and again, give you the best overall effect from the actual products you're purchasing, because that's the whole idea here. We want you guys to be happy, and of course we want you guys to get that professional look you're looking for. We want people to be amazed at what you can do when you understand the products, and of course you understand what you're doing with the hardware you have. Okay, I cannot emphasize that enough. So I hope this actual video has helped you guys as far as understanding exactly what you can do and what you can get away with and what you can't. That's really what we're looking for. And again, we know questions are always going to come up. We look forward to them. Just message us. And again, you can message us either through eBay or through YouTube and let us know exactly whatever comments you may have as far as either future videos. I'm always looking for suggestions. Again, any things that you may have as far as hardware. We do get a lot of questions on hardware, and we're trying to do more and more informational pieces on them because, again, our time is limited the busier we get. But the more you guys give us feedback, again, the more informative we can be. We do ask that hopefully you guys like and subscribe. We're trying to grow the database as large as possible. This way your community then can support each other, and again, this knowledge gets passed around. And we know there's a lot of misinformation online, and we just want to give you guys accurate information so that you're starting right from the beginning. It saves you time, which is money, and again, your success is everything to us. So again, we wish you the best. If you have any questions, once again, you'll have the link below you can click on. You can message us, once again, either through eBay or again direct through email or YouTube, and we'll get back to you as soon as possible. Thank you again. Take care.